So the idea of engaging children with actual 3D objects, so picking up on some earlier presentations. I've been very fortunate in my school to have a lot of bush around, and we've actually had a nature school that we've accessed regularly during over the year. But as well as that, we have a lot of nature just in our playground in general, and we've harnessed those resources to learn all about the nature for our early childhood students. So I am a teacher of kindergarten and pre-primary, and I'm very passionate about using nature in general, but on this occasion for mathematics. You'll see through the presentation that I'll reference the WA curriculum and the kindergarten curriculum guidelines. So the top text is the WA curriculum, and underneath are some of the elements from the kindergarten curriculum guidelines. I'm not going to be reading those out or anything like that. They're obviously available on websites and so on. You can read those yourself. What I've actually done is I've gone through the WA curriculum, looking at all the elements of the mathematical program or curriculum, and putting in photographs just as evidence or ideas for you to see how we've used nature in addressing some of those aspects of the curriculum. The bottom left-hand corner, a few photos are like that because in the interest of anonymity for the children, I've actually done fancy painty stuff with some of the photographs so that they're anonymous. This is an occasion where we actually went out into the bush and collected sticks and so on, and we had a number line. So rather than being inside the class and using plastic materials or whatever, we've gone outside and we've used, the children have collected their own resources and used them, and this is an underline 1 to 20 that we were doing some activities about. I think that as soon as kids get to pre-primary, they're at school full-time, and this is essentially their childhood. And if we don't embrace some of the outdoor elements, of nature, then some of the children are actually, missing out on opportunities for getting outside. So we try to use natural materials as much as possible. For example, we wanted some number cards in our classroom, so rather than buying commercial cards with, random items there, the children actually used natural materials like rocks and stones and things like that. They selected their own backgrounds, they arranged their own materials, and then they made a pic collage for each number, and then we printed those and laminated them, and they were the cards that we used during all our activities whenever we wanted to order or talk about collections and things like that. So we used the natural materials to make our own resources as well. This is some very, very honed in examples from photographs. So this is looking at sabotizing and using those little stones and sticks that are lying around, children collecting them themselves, and then using those as very hands-on tactile elements to learn about the maths. As you can see, I've made some cards there is larger than, so that one again with the shells is showing that group of materials is larger than the smaller group of two there. So while that's an inside activity, we're still using the interesting natural materials for children to touch and feel and just make it really multi-sensory. A lot of the children really, really love that element of collecting the materials because it's like a scavenger hunt or a treasure hunt. So you just simply, depending what your activity is, you might say, look, you need 12 of something, 12 sticks or 12 stones, and they go off and Fossey can come back. And then in the process of doing that, you identify lots of things along the way. Can children listen? Can they follow directions and that type of thing? Sometimes people have a lot of trouble even counting to 12 or getting the materials and that type of thing. Other people get back to your space very quickly and start making patterns out of whatever they've collected and that type of thing. So you can actually gain a lot of extra information just seeing how the children are working mathematically. This is an example of some sharing that we were doing. So we did have some fabrics of material we were lucky enough to get from Ramita. So they were just sample packs of upholstery fabrics. And so we use those on the ground, so the materials don't get lost in the grass or whatever. We use those on the ground, and that becomes a little play mat or a maths mat for the children to then manipulate all the materials and separate them out and that type of thing. This is some example of sorting and patterning. The one on the left is actually from an investigation of the bark on the tree, and although it's not a pattern that's made as such with materials, it was very interesting for us to observe the bark and then go back and do some visual arts, and then notice that with the texture that was on that particular bark and creating the lines with PVA glue and eco-dye and so on. The patterning of the bark was really highlighted, so that was a different type of patterning compared to the middle image, which is obviously materials put into a pattern. This is obviously on the left using leaves and sticks again for sequencing, and so rather again than having children cut out and using a lot of paper and pencil tasks and scissors and so on, they're using the materials in a real way. It's quite authentic. And the picture on the right is actually some logs and what have you in our playground, and obviously with the different lengths and so on, it allows discussion of the language of longer than, shorter than, and that type of thing. And that particular shape, I know it's hard to see, is actually a dinghy shape. So it's triangular, it's like a dinghy, and there are some sticks that the boy's holding with his hands. It's actually like a rowboat. So through these play experiences as well, we're able to bring in the maths language as well. This one is units of measurement, compare and order duration of events using everyday language of time. Because we went to the nature school every Thursday, we did lots of different activities there, including resting and eating. So as part of these events that happen daily, fruit time, lunch time, a rest time, that type of thing, we were able to incorporate into that, as well as the weekly pattern of going every Thursday. Thursday equals nature school, very happy for us. We used lots of materials to make our own shapes, so rather again cutting and colouring and those sorts of activities, the children showed their understanding of corners and lengths and size and that type of thing by using natural materials. Here's one for position and movement, obviously. And I didn't actually have a picture for data representation and interpretation, but you could easily develop that. I just didn't have one to hand. And that's the end of the story.